What if I told you that one football legend, one white Ford Bronco, and one suspiciously tight glove managed to divide America more than politics, religion, and pineapple on pizza debates combined? And here's the question that still haunts the country nearly 30 years later. Was the O.J. Simpson case about one brutal crime? Or was it actually a mirror exposing everything broken inside the United States? Before you answer, buckle up, because this video has more plot twists than a Netflix thriller and more drama than 10 seasons of reality TV combined. The night Brentwood was thrown into chaos. June 12, 1994, started off as just another peaceful evening in Brentwood, the kind of place where people jog with golden retrievers that probably have better health care than most Americans. But by midnight, sirens were screaming through the quiet streets as police found the bodies of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman outside Nicole's condo. Nicole was the ex-wife of O.J. Simpson. Ron was a restaurant waiter who made the disastrous mistake of returning a forgotten pair of sunglasses. Talk about terrible timing. Instead of receiving a thank you card, he walked straight into the most notorious double murder case in America. When detectives saw the brutality of the scene, it didn't take them long to start looking at the ex-husband. And not just any ex-husband, but O.J. Simpson, the smiling superstar who had spent years appearing on TV screens across America selling rental cars, winning football trophies, and looking like the most harmless man alive. But behind that smile was a history of violence toward Nicole. It was as if the public image and the private truth were running in two different directions, and the case forced them to collide. From NFL icon to the nation's prime suspect. Before the scandal, O.J. wasn't just famous, he was adored. He had that brand of celebrity where even people who hated football would still watch him in movies. He was charming, clean-cut, accessible, and seemed like the kind of guy who'd help you carry your groceries. But behind closed doors, the Simpson marriage had been a storm waiting to happen, filled with arguments, bruises, and desperate 911 calls. Nicole had reported abuse several times, and in 1989, O.J. pleaded no contest to spousal abuse. So when Nicole and Ron were murdered, suspicion didn't just fall on O.J., it practically jumped on him wearing neon lights. The police weren't looking at some random neighbor or masked stranger. They were looking at a famous man with a violent history who had the motive, the opportunity, and the temper of a malfunctioning vending machine. Suddenly, O.J. wasn't the friendly face from TV. He was the most watched suspect in America. The white Bronco chase that made history. On June 17, 1994, O.J. was supposed to surrender to the LAPD. Instead, he vanished. A bold choice for someone whose face was literally everywhere on the news. Police announced him as a fugitive. The country collectively gasped. Then the cameras found him in the back of a white Ford Bronco driven by his longtime friend, A.C. Cowlings, and suddenly, all regular programming stopped. What happened next is one of the most surreal events in TV history, a slow-speed chase. Not a dramatic Hollywood chase, not a Fast and Furious moment. This was a gentle stroll down the freeway at 40 miles per hour while 95 million people watched. Even the NBA Finals got shoved aside for this. Imagine being a professional athlete and realizing your biggest competitor that night is a Bronco moving slower than a tired shopping cart. Some people ordered pizza, sat on their couches, and literally watched a single car drive in a straight line for hours. And somehow, it was the most exciting thing on television. The trial of the century takes the stage. By the time the criminal trial began in January 1995, America had already turned into one giant courtroom. Judge Lance Ito became a household name. Prosecutors Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden were suddenly celebrities. And then came the defense team, the Dream Team. Johnny Cochran, Robert Shapiro, F. Lee Bailey, Alan Dershowitz? This wasn't a defense. This was the legal version of the Avengers assembling. If money could buy skill, strategy, charisma, and dramatic flair, OJ had purchased the deluxe package. The trial wasn't just a legal proceeding, it was a production. Cameras rolled every day. News channels reported on every witness like they were doing red carpet interviews. Talk shows dissected every facial expression. It wasn't just the trial of the century, it was the Super Bowl of public drama, and America had front row seats. The evidence that looked impossible to ignore. Prosecutors brought in DNA evidence, a relatively new tool in the 1990s, linking OJ to blood at the crime scene, in his Bronco, and inside his house. There was a trail of blood leading almost like breadcrumbs from Nicole's condo to OJ's property. A glove found at Nicole's place matched another glove behind OJ's guest house, both soaked with blood from OJ, Nicole, and Ron. Scientists testified about astronomical odds, but explaining DNA to a jury back then was like trying to teach rocket science to people still arguing about how to set the clock on their VCR. The prosecution believed the evidence was overwhelming. The defense believed the evidence was contaminated, mishandled, or planted. The audience at home? They were just trying to keep up. The defense strategy that changed everything. The defense didn't simply challenge the evidence. They challenged the entire LAPD. They argued that evidence was collected improperly, handled sloppily, or maybe even tampered with. Detective Mark Furman, the man who discovered the glove, became a central figure when tapes revealed him using racist slurs. Overnight, he went from star witness to the prosecution's worst nightmare. And then came the glove moment, the one America still jokes about. When OJ struggled to put on the glove in court, Cochran seized the opportunity and delivered the iconic line, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." It rhymed, it was catchy, and it was so effective that marketing companies probably studied it for years. Legally, the moment was complicated. Publicly, it became the meme of the decade, the verdict that split the country in half. On October the 3rd, 1995, after just 4 hours of deliberation, the jury returned with the verdict, not guilty. The reaction was instant and shockingly divided. In many Black communities, people cheered, hugged, and celebrated, seeing the outcome as a rare moment when a Black defendant actually beat a system they believed was designed against them. In many white communities, disbelief filled living rooms. Polls showed a dramatic racial split in how Americans interpreted the verdict. It wasn't just a legal decision, it was a cultural earthquake. One verdict, two Americas. The civil trial that reversed the outcome. OJ's freedom didn't mean the legal battles were over. In 1997, the Goldman and Brown families sued him in civil court. This time, the jury found him liable for the deaths and ordered him to pay $33.5 million. Spoiler alert, he barely paid any of it. The judgment grew with interest like a cursed subscription fee that never ends. OJ's return to trouble. In 2007, OJ somehow found himself in trouble again when he and a group of men confronted sports memorabilia dealers in Las Vegas to reclaim items he claimed were stolen. The law didn't see reclaiming, they saw armed robbery and kidnapping. In 2008, he was sentenced to up to 33 years. He served 9 before being paroled in 2017. After that, he attempted a low-key life, which is hard to do when your name is literally a punchline in every late-night show. OJ's final chapter and the 2025 estate drama. O.J. Simpson passed away in April 2024, but the courtroom chaos did not. In 2025, his estate acknowledged a massive claim, nearly $58 million, owed to the Goldmans as the civil judgment ballooned over decades. Unfortunately for them, his estate is reportedly nowhere near wealthy enough to pay it. Even in death, O.J.'s financial story is as messy as the trial itself. And that, my friends, is the story of the O.J. Simpson case. If you found this deep dive fascinating, if you learned something new, or if this story reminded you just how wild real life can be, then do me one favor before you go, hit that like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.